in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. Heading our starring Hollywood cast this evening is Mr. Paul Lucas, and with him are Miss Heather Angel and Mr. Bramwell Fletcher. Story by John Dixon Carr, dealing with strange, very strange happenings in a London curio shop, and called Mr. Markham, Antique Dealer, is tonight's tale of suspense. If you've been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution till the last possible moment. And so, with the performances of Heather Angel, Bramwell Fletcher, Paul Lucas as Mr. Markham, Antique Dealer, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
This is the story of a man who commits murder and gets away with it. Does the idea shock you? Do you believe that justice must always be done? But let's be honest with ourselves. You and I needn't be cynics to know that justice is very seldom done. Innocence flinches. Guilt is childlike and bland. Innocence is imposed upon. Guilt can encompass all things, even a successful murder. And I know this because I was the murderer, you say? Oh, no. Inquire at Scotland Yard. I was the victim. In Bond Street, not far from Piccadilly, there used to be an establishment, which in a less fashionable part of town would have been called a shop. On the windows, in letters as discreet as a visiting card, were the words, Charles Markham, Antique Dealer. Such a delightful fellow, Markham. Such a character. 30 years ago, yes, as long as that, this antique shop was a dingy place. Despite deep carpets and crystal chandeliers, it rustled with the ticking of 100 clocks. It was shadowed by damascened armor and the loom of tall tapestries. And late one summer night, when the shutters were long closed on those windows, a four-wheeler drew up before the door in the gas-lit street.
That's all, cabby. You needn't wait.
Very good, miss. Good night.
Good night. He must be here. He must be. I won't go back to that place. I'll kill myself first.
Oh, look here, old man. You needn't be... Oh, I beg your pardon.
And I beg yours. I'm not the person you were expecting, am I?
No, madam. As a matter of fact, I was expecting a police officer.
A police officer?
Oh, merely an old friend who often drops in for a talk and a drink.
You are Mr. Markham, aren't you?
Yes, my name is Markham. Can I be of any service to you?
I want to come in. I want to buy a present for somebody.
Now, really, madam, this is hardly the time.
Yes, I know it's late, but...
It's nearly 1 o'clock, madam. Surely tomorrow morning will be...
That'll be too late. This is a special occasion. It's a birthday present. That's it. A birthday present. I've got to deliver it before breakfast. And Sir George Lytle says this is the only place in London to buy antiques.
Sir George flatters me.
Won't you let me come in? Just for 5 minutes.
Well, under the circumstances, madam, I think it might be managed. Now, one moment while I put some lights on.
No. Please. That one little light will be enough.
But you won't be able to see anything.
That doesn't matter. I'll trust to your judgment.
Just as you like. This way, madam.
What's that? That noise?
Oh, you mean the clocks, madam? There are more than 100 clocks in this room. I'm very fond of them.
Don't they get on your nerves? Ticking away together like a nightmare? Striking the hours together?
They don't strike together, madam. When the hour approaches, you will hear a musical din that lasts for some time. Might I interest you perhaps in a clock?
No. I hate them.
Now, all the same, this grandfather clock might amuse you.
What about it?
Observe the signature. Johannes Carver, Londini, Fecit A.D. 1752. You could see better, madam, if you raised that veil.
I'll keep my veil down, thanks.
Just as you please. But look at the clock. I open the glass face like this. Then I push the second hand forward like this, and...
1 o'clock and all's well. 1 o'clock and all's well.
What was that voice?
Only the clock, madam, nothing more.
The clock spoke.
Clever, isn't it? A device of old John Carver, anticipating Mr. Edison's gramophone by more than 100 years. Oh, but you don't like clocks.
No.
May I ask whether the present is for a lady or a gentleman?
It's for a man.
Oh, has he some knowledge of antiques?
Yeah. I mean...
furniture, perhaps. Porcelain, bronzes, tapestries, weapons.
He might be very much interested in weapons.
Then
Yes.
I imagine his name is Mr. Ronald Gilbert. Now, will you tell me, Miss Ray, why you really came here tonight?
So you know who I am.
Naturally. You are Miss Judith Ray. And why did you come here?
I wanted to see what sort of a man you actually were.
Oh, and have you found out?
No, but I won't go back to prison. I won't.
As you will. But since it's to be a business conference, Miss Ray, and I imagine it is...
Yes.
Well, then suppose we go into my office, here at the back of the shop. Will you precede me?
Thank you.
Oh, you must excuse the dust covers I've put on the chairs here. I'm leaving for a holiday tomorrow, and the shop will be closed. When I return next week, Miss Ray, I shall expect the amount requested. In cash, of course.
But I can't raise 2,000 pounds. You ought to know that.
Your fiancé could raise the money, I imagine.
Ron? Do you think I'd have Ron know where I've been? Or what I've been?
It's better than having his father learn it, surely. Now, sit down, Miss Ray.
I'd rather stand, thank you.
Now, that's a very foolish gesture. But the ladies will do it. They think it gives them dignity and shows the disdain of the poor blackmailer. You see, I make no bones about it. I am a blackmailer.
You seem rather proud of yourself.
Why not? I am the one person in England, perhaps in the world, who has made it a large-scale business.
Congratulations.
And what is all lifeblood but blackmail? The child says, if you don't give me that, I'll scream. The grown woman says, if you go on behaving like this, I will leave you. Your sex, Miss Ray, are blackmailers from the cradle.
You know, Charles Markham, I wonder...
Yes?
I wonder if anybody's ever hurt you very much.
Hurt me? What do you mean?
When you talk about the world and people in general, your face goes white under the eyes. You pick up that letter opener from the desk.
Not a letter opener, please, Miss Ray. A Medici dagger. 16th century work.
It isn't the money that really interests you.
I don't understand.
You hate the world. You just want to torture people, but you think you've been tortured. Isn't that so?
This is a very sharp dagger, Miss Ray. If I throw it down on the desk, it sticks. Like that.
Isn't it so, Charles Markham?
My motives, Miss Ray, aren't in question.
I wonder...
Whereas your motives are. Now, let me see. 10 years ago, in 1903, a certain girl called Letty Wilson, your real name, I believe, fell in love with a rather contemptible underworld character named Arthur Aker.
Please.
No humiliation was too great for her. She worked for him, lied for him, stole for him.
I was only 18. I didn't know what I was
Now,
doing.
this girl, for a very shabby theft, was sentenced to 3 years hard labor at Holloway Prison. 5 months later, she escapes from prison and disappears. All these years afterwards, she appears in the West End as Miss Judith Ray, fashionable milliner.
Haven't I made up for it? Haven't I?
No.
For one mistake. After 10 years.
The way of the world, my dear. I didn't create it. And I'm forgetting the best part of the comedy. This paragon of virtue next falls in love with Mr. Ronald Gilbert, son of Major General Sir Edmund Gilbert. Such a respectable family, too.
Stop it, please.
Then, shall we say, 2,000 pounds?
Suppose I did raise the money. I don't know how, but suppose I did raise it.
Well,
What guarantee would I have that you wouldn't ask for still more money?
I probably shall ask for more money, Miss Ray. But that's my privilege as a blackmailer.
Then I'm never going to be free of you. Is that it?
Well, frankly, that's it.
Unless I kill you, of course. What if I did kill you?
People have threatened it before, but they haven't meant it.
Maybe I mean it.
Well, we can easily test you out. There's a sharp knife stuck in the desk in front of you. I'm going to get up and deliberately turn my back on you. Like this.
Be careful, Charles Markham.
As a student of human nature, I'm curious. How much will you risk to keep this secret? Have you the courage to kill and risk hanging?
Yes, I think I have. What was that?
Now, aren't you glad you held back at the last moment, Miss Ray?
I said, what was that?
That, my dear, was the front doorbell. Probably my friend, Inspector Ross, from Wigmore Street Police Station. Come in, old man. Come on in. Make yourself comfortable. I'll be with you in a moment.
You wanted me to attack you, didn't you?
No, I was merely curious. And in any case, Miss Ray, it would be useless to kill me.
Useless? Why?
Because I shouldn't die.
Don't talk rot.
Oh, it's quite true. A man in my position must take certain precautions. If you killed me, I should be back to haunt you within half an hour. And I don't happen to be joking. Come in.
Now, look here, Markham. Good Lord, Judy.
Ron!
Mr. Ronald Gilbert, as I live.
Ron, what are you doing here? He hasn't got anything against you, has he?
Speak up, Mr. Gilbert. Have I?
The fact is, Judith, I...
Look at him, Miss Ray. See how he changes color and twists his mustache and altogether resembles a boy caught in his mother's gem cupboard. Perfect picture of a gentleman being a gentleman.
Look here, Markham. I'm not very clever. You can always make a fool of me when you start talking, so let's stop talking. I've brought the money.
What money?
Oh, merely my fee for keeping quiet about you.
So you went to Ron, too. You told him about it.
Naturally. If possible, always sell your wares in 2 markets.
How much money?
Never mind, Judith. I hoped I could do this without your knowing.
How much money?
3,000. It's all I could raise.
Has he told you who I am and what I've been?
Look here, Judith. Who the devil cares who you are or what you've been? I happen to be in love with you. Never mind. Let's get out of here.
Ron, it's no good. He'll only come back for more money.
I know that, but what else can we do?
Nothing, I'm afraid.
Well, what's that knife doing there, stuck in the desk?
Nothing dangerous, I assure you.
No?
Merely a curio. I pick it up like this, I flip it down like this, and pick it up again. Miss Ray was very much interested in the dagger. Now, may I have that envelope with the money, please?
There you are. Take it.
Thank you. As I explained to Miss Ray, I'm leaving tomorrow for a holiday, hence the general disarray and the dust covers on the chairs. But before my departure, I'm glad we could settle this affair, as you would say, like gentlemen.
Before we clear out of here, Markham, there's just one favor I'd like to ask.
Well, of course, old man, ask away.
This is your job, I suppose. You can't help being what you are, but never again, as long as you live...
Well?
Never even say the word gentleman.
Be careful, Ron. Look at his face.
Tell me, Mr. Gilbert, how much money is in this envelope?
You heard what I said, 3,000 pounds.
Then take it back, my friend. I find we can't strike a bargain after all.
What do you mean?
Just what I say. Here is your money. You will now oblige me, both you and Miss Ray, by leaving my shop.
But what are you going to do?
Tomorrow morning, perhaps even tonight, I'm going to get in touch with the police, and I shall tell them where they can find Letty Wilson, alias Judith Ray.
You can't do that, Markham.
Oh, yes, he can. You hit him where it hurts.
3,000 pounds, my friend, is not enough compensation for the way you talk. There is a way through the shop. Shall I escort you to the front door?
No.
Oh, so you prefer to stay here and make a fool of yourself?
You're not going to tell the police, Markham. I promise you that.
And how are you going to stop me?
With this.
Ron, put that gun away.
It's a funny thing, Judith. I felt a bit of a fool, bringing this revolver along. But now I've got a use for it. Oh, yes, I've got a use for it.
Oh. Maybe the best thing would be to go into the street now and call a policeman.
You'll never get into the street, Markham.
Are you following me into the shop?
Yes.
So both of you, it appears, came here under false pretenses. You said you wanted to pay me some money.
The money's still here, but you've lost your chance to get it.
And our dear Judith said she wanted to buy a present for you. I showed her this grandfather clock here, this talking clock.
Don't go a step beyond that clock, Markham. I warn you.
Nonsense, old man. You wouldn't dare shoot.
Wouldn't I?
No, and I'll call your bluff. 1 step. 2 steps. I know you'll wholesale tried, my friend. You wouldn't risk it. No, you wouldn't. What's happening to me?
Don't try and grab out of the clock, Markham. It won't save you.
You wouldn't risk your life. You wouldn't risk your family position. You wouldn't.
1:15 and all's well. 1:15 and all's well.
I had to do it, Judith. Don't you see? I had to do it.
Did you... Is he...
Oh, yes. Yes, he's done for. I tell you, I had to do it.
Shh, keep your voice down.
Why?
That shot sounded like the crack of doom. I wonder if anybody in the street heard it.
You mean the police?
Yes, Ron. What in heaven's name are we going to do?
Steady, steady. We'll find a way out.
Maybe he's not dead, Ron. Go and look at him.
He's dead, all right.
Please, Ron. Go and look at him. Well?
Shot through the heart. The bullet went clean through him and smashed the face of the grandfather clock. That's all I can see in this dim light.
This isn't happening to us. It can't be
I've got to
happening.
think, but it's hard to think. You see, Judith, I'm not in a rage any longer. I'm just numb and a little bit scared.
You're not going to give yourself up.
And have this whole thing made public? Not likely.
Wait a minute. There may be a way out.
What way?
He said he was going for a holiday. Remember?
Well, suppose he did.
That gives us time. It means his absence won't be noticed. The shop will be closed. Nobody will come here for days. And certainly nobody will come here tonight. And...
What's that?
The police officer. I forgot the police officer.
What police officer?
A friend of Markham's. Inspector somebody or other from Wigmore Street. He's inspected here tonight.
Then we're finished.
No, Ronnie. We're not finished. He can't see anything out there. The shutters are down and the door's covered. Could you pick Markham up and carry him?
Yes, I could. Why?
There must be a back way out of the shop, probably in the office. Hurry, Ron.
I don't like to touch him.
Hurry, Ron, please.
He's as heavy as a sack of meal. He seems to be looking straight at me.
I know. Everything here seems to have eyes and move a little in the shadow. Didn't you see the expression in Markham's eyes just before you...
No, I didn't.
He seemed to be looking behind us, or beyond us. I don't know how to describe it. And he said something, too, that scared me. He said he couldn't die. He said...
Close the door, quick. This police officer, Judith, he can't get into the shop, can he?
Of course he can. The front door isn't locked.
That's true. What's wrong with me, Judith? I came in there that way myself.
And there's no time to lock the front door now. Our only hope is through the back way. I thought I'd seen a back door and... Ah, there it is. Just a minute.
I've killed a man. That means I'm a murderer. A fraction of a second, one tick of a clock in there, and you change from an ordinary happy person into what I... Well, Judith, well?
I'm sorry, Ron. The door's locked.
Isn't there a key?
No.
Maybe in his pockets on a key ring.
There isn't time, Ron. I think I heard the front door open. Our visitor's coming in.
I've got it. The dust covers.
What?
Those white cloths that fit over the chairs. Look at them.
What on earth are you talking about?
We used to play a game when we were kids. Somebody sits in a big chair. You know, you fit the dust cover over him and nobody can tell he's sitting there. Don't you see, Judith? That's how we can hide Markham's body.
It might work if there's time.
There's got to be time. Take the big cover off that chair, the wing chair.
All right. Maybe there's a chance.
I'll fit him into it. Arms along the chair arms. Feet pushed back. Now, put the cover back again and pull it round down his feet.
Don't let it touch his chest. The blood will show through.
There, that's got it. You can't see anything now, can you?
No, but, Ron.
Well?
What did you do with the gun?
The gun?
The gun you shot Markham with.
Oh, Judith, I put it down on the floor when I picked up his body.
Out in the other room?
Yes, I'm afraid so. And it's too late now, Judith. The police are here.
What are you going to say?
I don't know. Trust your wits and try and brazen it out. Yes? Come in.
Good evening, Miss Ray. And good evening, Mr. Gilbert.
Charles Markham? You're Charles Markham?
Correct, Miss Ray. But why should that surprise you? Why do you look as though you were seeing a ghost?
Because we are seeing a ghost. If you're Charles Markham, whose body is...
Judith, be careful.
Body, Miss Ray. Did you say body?
Miss Gray's upset. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
If you killed me, I should be back to haunt you within half an hour. That's what he said.
I tell you, Miss Gray isn't herself. She had bad news today. A relative of hers died. I've been trying to make her feel better.
Indeed. Do you think it would make her feel better to bring her here?
I don't understand.
My dear sir, you are very welcome. But the situation is surely a little odd. I come in here and find you two looking as guilty as a pair of murderers in my private office in the middle of the night.
There's nothing odd about that. I wanted to buy Judith something.
At 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, may I ask how you managed to get in?
The front door was open. We just walked in.
If you wish to buy something, why not stay in the showroom? Why come to my office?
Well, hang it all. You don't think we wanted to steal anything, do you?
Well, that thought did occur to me. You see, there was nobody else here.
There's nobody here, Mr. Markham. Not a living soul.
Then you didn't meet, by any chance, my brother?
Your brother?
Yes, my brother Robert. You couldn't have mistaken him if you had seen him. He looks so much like me that few people can tell us apart.
So that's it.
Poor Robert often deputizes for me. He's learned to act like me, think like me, and talk like me. But he doesn't like the work very much. Of course, you know what my work really is.
Is this part of the game? Are you trying to play cat and mouse?
Robert is an idealist. He thinks, poor fellow, that my profession is beneath contempt. But he acts the part and acts it well because I pay him. And I find it useful to have a double who will run risks for me. What have you done with his body?
We haven't done anything with him.
If you've killed Robert, my friend, you've committed a totally useless murder.
You don't see him here, do you?
No, but I see his handiwork.
Meaning what?
I've warned him many times about throwing a knife down on a polished desktop. Those scratches on the desk are fresh scratches. Of course, if you give me your word of honor that he's not here...
Of course, he's not here.
Well, in that case, all we can do is sit down and make ourselves comfortable. Will you sit there, Mr. Gilbert, and you, Miss Ray, in that wing chair by the window? What's wrong, Miss Ray? Why don't you sit down?
Because I prefer to stand, thank you.
Then perhaps you won't mind if I sit in the wing chair. It's a very comfortable one. My brother always says...
Don't sit down there for the love
Oh. So that's it.
Yes, that's it.
It is rather a thick chair. I press against the dust cover and blood comes through. I lift the bottom of the dust cover and...
What's the use of going on with this? I killed him.
You admit that?
Yes, I admit it. But Judith had nothing to do with this. I swear she hadn't.
My telephone, you notice, is against the wall. I shall have to turn my back to you when I ring.
Ring? Where?
Wigmore Street Police Station.
Oh, no. Give him a chance. Please give him a chance.
Hello? Hello, operator. I want Regent 0586.
I won't let them take you on. I
586.
won't.
It's no good, Judith. I killed a man. I meant to kill him. That's all there is to it.
A very sensible attitude, my friend. And if the lady has any idea of flying at me with that knife, just notice what I've got here. A .32 revolver, one chamber fired, picked up off the floor in that room where...
Hello? Hello, Wigmore Street Police
For
Station.
the last time,
Hello?
Mr. Markham, won't you give him a chance?
Be quiet, Miss Ray. May I speak to Inspector Ross, please?
Inspector Ross speaking. Oh, isn't that Mr. Markham?
Got it in one, Inspector. Charles Markham here. I understand you were going to drop in and see me tonight.
Well, I intended to, Mr. Markham, but I'm afraid I can't make it now.
Oh, why not? Anything wrong?
Only a robbery in Davies Street, but it's likely to be a long job. Sorry I can't get there.
Well, that's perfectly all right, Inspector, because actually I rang up to make sure you wouldn't come here tonight. You see, I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm leaving for Eastbourne early tomorrow morning. Let's make it some other time, shall we?
Oh, glad to, Mr. Markham. No crimes being committed up your way, I suppose?
No, Inspector. It's as quiet as the grave. I've never known a more peaceful night. Goodbye.
Why did you do that?
Now, please, don't excite yourself, Miss Ray. Didn't you hear what I told the Inspector?
Yes, but is this some more trickery?
Trickery? How can it be?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
I should call it generous when I let my poor brother's death go unavenged.
You're not doing this without a reason.
Naturally not. But has it occurred to you, either of you, that I might not want my business dealings revealed in court?
What are you driving at?
And has it also occurred to you that a man's double, who looks exactly like him and shares all his secrets, may become a danger rather than an asset? He knows too much, he wants too much, and so...
I think I understand. You're glad he's dead.
Not glad, my dear. You shock my brotherly feelings, but definitely relieved.
Look here, you can't get away with this.
Get away with it, sir? Aren't you forgetting that you are the murderer?
And what are you going to do?
Now, it is very simple. We three, in an unholy partnership, will dispose of Robert's body. Or would you rather hang?
He's got us, Ron. There's no other way.
But how can we dispose of the body? This seems worse than killing him. It's filthy, cold-blooded...
Practical necessity. And as for disposing of the body, nothing is easier. We shall simply gather the... And so, as I said before, this is the story of a man who commits murder and gets away with it. Now, Ronald Gilbert looks back across the years and is still firmly convinced of his own guilt. But, of course, Gilbert never shot anybody. I was the man who committed the murder. Don't you remember? The bullet that killed my brother is supposed to have passed through his body and smashed the face of the grandfather clock. But that's an impossibility. The face of a grandfather clock is much higher than the heart of a man. You see, 2 shots were fired at the very same instant. Gilbert missed and smashed the clock face. I fired from the door of the office and did not miss. That was why my brother looked past those 2. I went out by the back door, locked it, and reappeared at the front afterwards. It was not Robert Markham who died. I am Robert Markham. It was Charles who died that night. And I killed him to stop forever the wholesale blackmail that was poisoning the lives and blasting the hearts of 1,000 half-crazed people. His records I destroyed, his correspondence I burned. He is dead and gone. I have assumed his name and identity ever since. I committed a murder. And yet, if you sat on a jury, dare you say that you would condemn me? Come now. Would you?
And so closes Mr. Markham, Antique Dealer, starring Paul Lucas with Heather Angel and Bramwell Fletcher. Tonight's tale of Suspense. This is your narrator, the man in black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us again next Tuesday, when we will have the pleasure of bringing you Mr. Charles Lawton and Miss Elsa Lanchester, will star in one of the most famous and suspenseful of Agatha Christie's thrillers, The ABC Murders. The producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, with Ted Bliss, the director, Lud Gluskin and Lucian Morowick, conductor and composer, and John Dixon Carr, the author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. Our distinguished stars tonight are 2 of the world's acknowledged masters of the art of suspense. They are Mr. Charles Lawton and Miss Elsa Lanchester. Mr. Lawton, who will soon be seen in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer picture, The Man from Down Under, is here to play a remarkable character created by England's noted thriller author, Agatha Christie. A mild-mannered character whose initials were ABC, and about whom revolved a series of savage murders, all neatly and alphabetically arranged. ABC was stamped upon all his belongings, those being his rightful initials. And ABC was stamped, too, upon the large railway timetable he always carried. But there was nothing so odd about that detail, since no traveler in the British Isles would dream of planning a journey without consulting this famous railway schedule, the ABC. And so, with the ABC Murders by Agatha Christie, written for radio by Robert Tallman and William Spear, and with the performance of Charles Lawton, we again hope to keep you in suspense. When the time for closing bell rang in the public library, Alexander Bonaparte Cust started, picked up his battered briefcase with the almost faded initials ABC, closed the book he had been reading, and shuffled over to the librarian's desk.
It's a most interesting book, librarian. I should like to come back sometime and read another chapter of it, if I may.
Quite. Yes, Mr. Clark. Can I help you, sir?
No hurry. Well, I'll be going along now. Thank you.
Rum little chap, that. What do you think he was reading? Studies in epileptic somnambulism.
Medical stuff, eh? Oh, I see. The little fellow left his briefcase. I'll catch him at the door. I say, sir, just a moment. You left something.
Oh, dear, it's my briefcase. I'm terribly sorry. I seem to be getting more and more forgetful lately. Why, only the other day I left it on the counter in a tobacco shop.
Lucky you have those initials. Not many people with the initials ABC stick in your mind.
What do you mean by that, sir?
Well, after all, they're the first three letters of the alphabet. Practically the first thing we learn, you know, isn't it? Our ABC.
Don't mention those letters to me. They brought bad luck to me in more ways than one.
Really? How's that?
Well, I used to be a travelling salesman, and I used to carry one of those railway timetables in my pocket, the threepenny kind, in which they list the towns and all the railroads alphabetically.
Oh, of course. Printed right on the cover, isn't it? ABC.
Yes, that's right. So, well, stockings was my line, sir. I did door-to-door selling. Whenever I finished one town, out would come that timetable, and I'd look up the next stop on my route. I got sick of the sight of that ABC railway guide, I can tell you, sir. It was like a symbol of failure to me. One dingy little town after another, and all listed in that railway guide with ABC printed on the cover. My own initials staring out at me from every newsstand and every dirty little railroad station in the Midlands.
Oh, come on. It couldn't have been as bad as all that.
Matter of fact, I never noticed it till I began to get the headaches.
Oh, you suffer from headaches?
Yes.
Have you seen a doctor about it?
Oh, no. I wouldn't want to see a doctor about it. I already know what brings them on.
Well, if you'd rather not talk about it...
Oh, no, it isn't that at all, sir. It was just such a long time ago. During the last war, in fact, Chateau Theory.
Chateau Theory? Oh, I see. What a coincidence. I was in the thick of that myself.
Well,
yes, we must get together for a drink one day to talk over old times. Franklin Clark is my name.
Oh, I'm pleased to meet you, Mr. Clark. My name's Cust. Alexander Bonaparte Cust.
Well, they must have expected great things of you, giving you a name like that.
I'm afraid they did, Mr. Clark, yes. I'm very much afraid they did.
Mr. Cust. Oh, Mr. Cust.
Who is it?
It's me, Mr. Cust. I brought you up a spot of tea.
Oh, it's you, Miss Marbury. That was very thoughtful of you.
Oh, nonsense. You know Mother dotes on you.
Oh.
You're her favourite lodger. In fact... Why, Mr. Cust, you're packing your things. You're not leaving us, are you?
Oh, no, I'm just taking a little trip over the bank holiday, you know.
Now, don't try to deceive me, Mr. Cust. You're embarrassed about owing us, aren't you?
No.
You needn't be, Mr. Cust. Really, you needn't.
Oh, you are a nice girl, Miss Marbury. You really are a nice girl. As a matter of fact, I'm not going just for the bank holiday. I've something rather important, some very important matters to take care of. You know, it's very possible that my mother didn't have me christened Alexander Bonaparte Cust for nothing.
Oh, have you got a position, Mr. Cust?
Well...
What is it?
Well...
Oh, come, Mr. Cust. You can tell me, can't you?
Well, Miss Lily, I can tell you this much. I shall be travelling quite a lot. In fact, where did I leave that ABC railroad guide? Oh, yes, here it is. First stop, Andover.
Andover? That's not very far.
No, but I must be getting on if I don't want to miss that train. Now, let me see. Have I got everything? There's my spectacles and my overcoat, my typewriter, my walking stick. Did I ever tell you the history of this walking stick, Miss Marbury? It's a Scottish piece, very old. It's always used as antique. You know, they used to kill people with these back in the days of the old clan wars in Scotland. I wonder how many heads this one has bashed in.
Mr. Cat. Oh, please, what a terrible way to talk.
Yes, I'm sorry, Miss Marbury. I am a little bit surprised at myself talking like that. It must be my new job. It's gone to my head a bit. That's it. It's gone to me head. Have you got an aspirin by any chance? I've got
Yes, gentlemen. What'll it be?
Packet of cornflakes for me.
Yes, sir. And the other gentleman?
3 Havanas, the shilling cigars.
Havanas? You gentlemen must be up from London.
That's right. Is that your name on the window of this shop?
That's right, sir. Olivia Asher. Been in business right here in Andover and right here in St. Andrew's Place for 20 years.
All A's. Andover, St. Andrew's Place, and Asher.
Funny, ain't it? Never so much as crossed my mind before.
Well, Mrs. Asher, we're from Scotland Yard. We have reason to believe there may be a homicidal maniac at large in Andover.
Good blimey.
We don't want to frighten you, Mrs. Asher. For all we know, this may be just a practical joke. You see, we received an anonymous letter, typewritten, and signed ABC.
ABC?
This murderer, if there's anything in his story, is planning a series of murders. His mania seems to be centered on the alphabet. If he follows his plan through, his first murder will be committed in Andover, and the victim will be a person whose name begins with an A.
The Lord help me, sir. You don't think...
We don't think anything. Scotland Yard has taken its precautions.
Oh, a woman takes a terrible chance.
There's probably nothing to be alarmed about, but it won't hurt to keep a sharp lookout. Who's next on your list, Mackenzie? Next is Arthur Atwood. All right. Let's be on our way, then. Good day, madam. Don't worry.
Thank you, sir. And good day to you, sir. A murdering lunatic in Andover, of all places. Yes, sir. What'll it be for you, sir? Please? That'll be 1 and 6, sir. I said that'll be... Oh, no!
Bloody newspaper, sensation, homicidal maniac in Andover, alphabet murderer destroyed next to Bexhill, latest on ABC.
Oh, boy, let me have one of those.
Yes, sir, news of standard, sir.
Both, here you are.
Thank you, sir. 6:30 newspaper, sensation.
Nasty business, eh, mister?
Oh, yes, very, very.
You never know with lunatics. They don't always look bomber, you know. Sometimes they look the same as you or me.
Eh? Yes, I suppose they do.
Oh, it's a fact. Sometimes it's the war unhinged them. Never been right since.
Yes, I expect you're right.
You know, I don't hold with wars. I hope this will be the last.
You don't hold with wars, eh? Well, young man, I don't hold with plague and sleeping sickness and famine and cancer, but they happen all the same. And murder happens all the same. They can't prevent them.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. I expect you had a rocky time of it in the last one, eh?
Yes, my poor head's never been the same since. I get terrible headaches.
Oh? Well, I'm sorry about that, sir.
Sometimes I hardly know what I'm doing.
You don't say.
I forget things. You know, for instance, I could have sworn I had an ABC railway guide in my pocket an hour ago.
Do you know they found one of them ABC railway guides on the poor tobacconist lady that he murdered?
Who?
Him. ABC, whoever he is. Maybe he don't know himself. Ever stop to think of that? Maybe he's so bum he don't remember.
I wonder. Bexhill, did he say Bexhill? That's my train. Well, goodbye, young man.
Goodbye.
6:30 newspaper, sensation, homicidal lunatic to strike again. Police tracing typewriter on which murder notes were written. To strike at Bexhill, latest on ABC, alphabet murderer.
Your order, sir?
Well, I don't think I'll have the ham. I had ham for breakfast. Yes, I think I'll have the mutton pie.
One mutton pie.
Yes, sir.
What's the matter with you? You're trembling, young woman. Is something wrong?
Oh, sir, if you only knew. I have to walk home tonight after they close up here. And there ain't hardly a light in Benson Terrace where I live.
Benson Terrace in Bexhill?
Yes, sir.
You're afraid of the ABC murderer, aren't you?
He follows the alphabet, don't he? That was the way he done in Andover.
Hey, and does your name begin with a B?
Barnard's my name. Mary Barnard.
Oh, dear me, Miss Barnard. Well, I don't like to appear forward. Well, anyway, I'm old enough to be your father. Would it make you feel easier if I saw you home tonight?
Oh, you don't know, sir. You just don't know what it would mean.
Oh, well, what time do they close up here?
At 9 o'clock.
All right, I'll wait outside for you. At 9 o'clock?
All right.
Ladies, waitress brutally murdered in Bexhill. ABC strikes again. Here you are, sir. Scotland Yard receives third murder note. Alphabet murderer to strike again in Cheston. Here you are.
Yes, sir?
Third class, single, to Cheston. Give me a pint of half and half, please.
Yes, sir. There you are, sir. You up from London, sir?
Yes, I come directly from London.
Ah, salesman?
Stockings is my line.
Rough going these days, what with rationing, eh?
Well. It isn't my old friend Alexander Bonaparte Cust.
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't remember.
We met in the library, remember?
Oh,
in London. Yes, had quite a talk.
Yeah.
Franklin Clark, remember?
Yes, of course. You'll forgive me, Mr. Clark. My memory, it seems to be getting worse and worse.
But you must have come under better times, Mr. Cust. New briefcase, I see. Nice, bright, new initials.
Well, I got a job shortly after I saw you, Mr. Clark, from Ballinger Limited. Stockings. It's my old line, you know. But to tell you the truth, I haven't been doing very well.
Oh, those headaches again?
Yes, the headaches. And the murders. The murders have upset me something terrible.
Oh, well, you're shaking like a leaf, man.
No.
Hey, Jonathan, a brandy for Mr. Cust. He needs it.
Sir.
The trouble with you, Cust, is you're inclined to be morbid. I remember that book you were reading the day we met, stuff about epilepsy.
Well, it might be epilepsy, mightn't it?
What?
Well, they discharged me from the army before the war ended. See, I had a kind of a fit, you know. And,
Never had anything like it again, have you?
No, I didn't have a fit again, just the headaches. I forget what happens, hours at a time. Do you know, once I was sitting in a station waiting room and a newsboy came by and I bought a paper from him, and it was all about that first murder in Andover. It said the police had got another note, another typewritten note, Mr. Clark, and the murderer was going to strike next in Bexhill. And suddenly I realized I was in Bexhill. And I'd been in Andover the day before when the first murder happened.
Well, how did you happen to go from Andover to Bexhill?
Well, that's the way I'm supposed to go on my route, selling the stockings. I'm supposed to take the towns alphabetically.
Oh, well, then it's not so surprising you should have been in Bexhill after all, is it? Just a coincidence.
Well, the waitress in Bexhill there, I walked home with her that night, Mr. Clark, the night she was murdered.
Well, good heavens, Cust, you don't think you killed Mary Barnard, do you?
I don't know, Mr. Clark. It said in that book that people who have had epileptic fits often do things and don't remember them. They even commit crimes. I said good night to her, and after that I don't know what happened.
The notes, those typewritten notes. Wouldn't you have remembered if you'd written them?
I don't know.
Well, now, I know a little something about psychology myself, Cust. And I'd stake everything I own on the fact that the man who wrote those notes was conscious of what he was doing.
Do you really think so, Mr. Clark?
Positive of it. Now, pull yourself together, man. Incidentally, my sister-in-law lives here in Cheston. My brother is Lord Cameron Clark, and I happen to know she needs some new stockings. Pop over there in the morning, will you, and show the old girl your line? Here's the address. Might cheer you up to make a good sale.
I'm sure it would, Mr. Clark. I'm sure it would. Well, good night, Mr. Clark, and thank you again for all your kindness on the process.
Good night. Oh, wait a minute. You've forgotten something again.
Oh, dear me, that's my typewriter. I shall certainly need that. Well, it's to type up my report to the Home Office in case I should make that sale tomorrow.
Oh, of course. Oh, yes. By the way, Cust, better watch out. Somebody in Cheston is going to be murdered tomorrow.
Aye?
Old ABC is up to the letter C, you know, and your name is Cust.
Oh, I say, good heavens. Mine is Clark.
Thank you again for your generous order, Lady Clark. I hope you'll be pleased. This line of woolen lined stockings is one of Ballinger's best buys right now, Lady Clark.
My brother-in-law told me that you'd had some unfortunate times lately, Mr. Cust.
Yes.
But I really did need the stockings, and I...
Hello again, Cust.
Hello, sir.
Stuffing myself with bacon and eggs. Make a sale, old boy?
Oh, yes, Mr. Clark. Thank you very much.
Good, good. Louise is filthy with money, and her ladyship's legs are in constant need of recovering.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Yes, really. She wanted the stockings.
Well, thank you very much, my lady. I hope I shall have the privilege of serving you again next year.
Goodbye, Mr. Cust, and good luck.
Cheerio, Cust.
Such a nice little man, Franklin.
He's a bit off his nut, I'm afraid. Last night he tried to convince me that he was the ABC murderer. His initials, you know. He has minor lapses of memory.
That little man a murderer? Oh, really, Franklin?
Good Lord, what was that?
Tell the maid. Where's that girl? What's going on?
In the master's bedroom, milady. You better go with her, Mr. Franklin.
Brothers, whatever are you doing here? Oh, my lady, the master, Lord Clark, is being murdered. Stabbed with a knife. He's all over blood.
Murder?
Oh.
Good heavens. Why, look there on the floor. A railway guide and ABC.
Get me out of here, Franklin.
Oh, Louise, I'm sorry you had to see this.
Oh, Cameron. My poor Cameron, who never made an enemy in his life.
The man who did this was a maniac. And I'm afraid I know who he is. He always carried a walking stick with a heavy carved handle. That's how the other murders were committed, with a heavy stick. But he wasn't carrying his stick today. Must have grabbed a knife up there somewhere to kill Cameron with. But when? Were you with him every minute?
Well, I went upstairs to get my checkbook. It took me a little while to find it.
That gave Cust his opening.
Oh, to think that all that time. Oh, no. No, I'll never forgive myself, Franklin.
No, none of that now, Louise. The important thing now is to stop him before he can commit another murder.
But what are you going to do, Franklin?
I'm going to the police and see if they'll let me help. Let's have a look at this ABC railway guide he left beside poor Cameron. Look here. All checked. See there? Andover, Bexhill, Churston. Each with a check mark after it. Oh, where's the next one? See? See London. He's through with ABC, he's gone home, and I'm going after him.
Yes? Well, Mr. Cust, come in. Whatever kept you away so long?
Miss Lily, I've got to talk to you alone.
Oh, well, I'll go up with you. I want to show you the new curtains I put up in your room anyway.
Oh, you are a nice girl, Miss Lily, really are a
Yeah,
nice
let me
girl.
carry one of these, Mr. Cust, the typewriter.
No, I'll carry my own things, thank you.
Oh, Mr. Cust, you're trembling. Oh, dear, you do look a fright. Look, I'm going to try and get you a hot foot bath.
No, not now, please, not now, Miss Lily. There's no time for it.
What is it, Mr. Cust?
Close the door and lock it.
Are you in some trouble, Mr. Cust?
I'm in terrible trouble, Miss Lily. I want you to hear the story first from me. You're the only one who has ever been my friend. Oh, I've had a lonely life, Miss Lily.
Oh, poor Mr. Cust.
Poor Mr. Cust. That's what they always say about me. Poor Mr. Cust. I thought you were
Oh,
different.
don't take on so, Mr. Cust. It was only a manner
Oh,
of
you
speaking.
don't need to worry. I'm all right now. I never get two spells in one day.
Spells? Mr. Cust, I don't understand. What
Well,
is
you heard of the ABC murders?
shocking affairs? But, Mr. Cust, why are
Miss
you
Lily,
saying...
the police will be here at any minute. Please let me finish. I don't want you to think harshly of me, Miss Lily. I didn't plan it ahead. My instructions told me where to go. Some people can't help what they do. There are diseases. Epilepsy, for instance. You do things you don't remember. You commit crimes. And I'm like that.
Oh, Mr. Cust, I can't believe it.
When I was a child, Miss Lily, they used to badger me about my name. My mother worshipped strength. She named me after the strongest people she knew about in history. Alexander and Bonaparte. But nobody ever called me by those names. They called me ABC. ABC. I used to dream I was boiling in a kettle of alphabet soup. I was a terrible disappointment to my mother.
Mr. Cust, you're unsettled and
You've
tired.
got to hear me out, Miss Lily.
Oh,
You've got...
my
Now,
arm!
listen to
You're
me, Miss
hurting
Lily.
me,
I
Mr.
could have been a hero once in the army in the last war. I was happy. I could have made something of myself. Then I started getting the headache.
No, Mr.
You must hear me out, Miss Lily. I started forgetting things after they discharged me from the army. Shock, they called it. I used to have dreams. I was a great ruler. The destiny of men was in my hands. I had the power over them of life and death.
Let me go. Oh, please let me go.
First, there was Andover, that tobacconist. I can't even remember what she looked like. Then there was Bexhill. I walked home with a waitress from the station restaurant. She was murdered, too. In Churchton, I sold a dozen pair of stockings to a lady, and while she was upstairs getting her checkbook, her husband was murdered on the floor where I was waiting. And now I've come back here. Maybe the alphabet charm is over. Or is it? This is London. L. Your name is Lily.
Are you trying to frighten me, Mr. Cuss?
I am trying to convince you.
You, murderer? I'd as soon believe it as my own mother.
What about this? Look at it.
Oh, no.
Look closely at it. I found it in my briefcase when I came on the train, Miss Lily. This knife murdered a man in Churchton just 3 hours ago.
No!
Oh, now, there, Miss Marbury. Don't take on so. You all end up pretty as you please in the next room.
But he was such a nice man. I still can't hardly believe it.
Is this the knife he threatened you with, Miss Marbury?
Yes.
We just got here in the nick of time, eh, Crum? Hey, that's a wicked-looking knife.
It's the Churchton murder knife right enough, Mr. Clark. No doubt of it. Well, let's take inventory. Typewriter. Checks with a murder note. Walking stick. Same markings as on the heads of the first victim. And the psychiatrist's report says the murders were premeditated and the notes could not possibly have been written except by a person who was conscious and in his right mind.
Well, that breaks down any idea Cust may have had of entering an insanity plea.
Right. I think he'll sign the confession without any difficulty. Bring him in.
Bring the prisoner in.
Well, Cust, are you ready to sign your confession?
I don't know, Inspector. A moment ago I was certain I must have done it. But why? That's what worries me. Why? Mr. Clark, why do you think I did it?
You're wasting valuable time, Cust. I don't care why you did it. You killed my brother, and I want to see you hang for it. I don't care how balmy you are.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, talking to our Mr. Cuss in that bloodthirsty manner. I don't know what's getting into the gentry, I'm sure.
He tried to murder you, didn't he?
Well, he couldn't help himself, poor thing. He's been terribly upset of late.
You are a nice girl, Miss Lily. You are a nice girl.
The murders were willful and premeditated.
They couldn't have been premeditated, Mr. Clark.
Why do you say that, Cust?
Well, because I didn't go to any of those places of my own choice. I had my instructions from Bellinger's Limited. And those instructions were sent to me after the police got the warnings of the murders that were printed in the paper.
There never were any such instructions. We ransacked all your things, Cust. There wasn't any letter of instructions, was there, Inspector?
No.
Oh, yes, there was.
All right, we'll ring up Ballinger's. May I use your telephone, Miss Marbury?
Oh, certainly, Inspector.
The number is Regent 3313, Inspector.
Ballinger's? Are you there? Put me on to personnel. Oh, Mac, start packing those exhibits, will you?
All right.
Crone speaking, Scotland Yard. But what day did you employ a commercial traveler named Alexander Bonaparte Cust? No, Cust. A.B. Cust. Initials A.B.C. Yes. Never employed by you. Your absence is certain? Did you send a man to Andover or Bexhill last week? Not on your route. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Too bad, Cust. I guess this knocks out your last ghost of a chance, doesn't it?
No, Mr. Clark. Because, you see, the instructions were in a letter, and that letter is right in this room.
Well, let's have a look. Come on, Mackenzie. Give me a hand. Let's go through these things again.
It won't do you any good to look there, Mr. Clark. I have the letter. Would you like to see it, Mr. Crumb? It's here.
Well, I'll be... Where did you get that?
It wasn't on him, Inspector. I'll swear to that. Where did you have this in?
Well, Inspector, it isn't generally known, but I do wear a small hairpiece. Not out of vanity, mind you. I find it necessary for the business.
Let's see that letter.
Oh, gladly.
Dear Mr. Cust, enclosed find advance. Typewriter is being posted today. You will...
Well, what a lot of nonsense, Inspector. Look at the typeface of that letter. It's obviously written on Cust's typewriter.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Clark. And the man who wrote that letter was the murderer. Cool as you like, he sent the typewriter to me and instructions on one of Ballinger's letterheads and the money and everything else.
What kind of stunt are you trying to pull here, Gus?
No stunt. It's just that when you made that telephone call, Inspector, and Ballinger said I'd never worked for them, I knew that the typewriter must have been sent to me by the murderer. And the more I thought about it, the more it seemed to me that the murderer must be Mr. Clark.
What? Why, this is too utterly fantastic, Inspector. Really,
Well, the murderer would have to know something about me. Something I'd never confided to anyone but to Mr. Clark about my headaches. I'd been reading a book in the public library, Inspector, a book on epilepsy, and it seemed to me that what I suffered during the last war might have been epilepsy. And it was on my mind, see? It said that epileptics might commit crimes and not remember them under certain conditions. Without that to go on, the murderer couldn't possibly have pinned the crime on me.
That works two ways, Cust. You might have told me that story deliberately, just so you could cook up this story now.
Well, I couldn't cook up your fingerprints, Mr. Clark. And I'll wager anything. Your fingerprints are on that letter.
Oh, come now, really.
Well, that's easily settled. We can do it right here. Won't take a moment. Take a set of Mr. Clark's fingerprints, Mackenzie. You examine the prints in the letter meantime.
Right, Inspector. Just press your fingers down firmly on this ink pad, Mr. Clark. What is it, Mr. Clark? It's quite simple, really.
Yes, it's so simple it isn't even necessary.
I'm afraid this is necessary, Mr. Clark. Only a matter of routine, you know.
But I tell you it isn't necessary because Cust is right. I am the murderer.
You? But wait, then... You killed your brother, Cameron Clark, so that you would inherit the estate?
Yes, exactly.
But the others, the A and B murders in Andover and Bexhill and...
I committed them, all of them.
Yes, but...
Come now, gentlemen. Surely you'll give me credit for thinking this thing through. If only my brother, Lord Clark, had been murdered, I, being the only heir, would have had a lot of explaining to do. So I invented my own little crime wave to make it appear as though he were just one of the victims of a homicidal maniac. And I must say, it almost came off, thanks to the unknowing cooperation of Mr. Cust here. Thank you just the same, Mr. Cust.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Cust, I knew you couldn't be a murderer, not really.
Oh, you are a nice girl, Miss Lily. Really, you are a nice girl.
About those headaches, Mr. Cust, why don't you go to an oculist? Those headaches, maybe you just need a new pair of glasses.
I think I'll do that, Miss Lily. Do you really think... Of course, I'll wager that's what's been the trouble with me all along.
You know, you need someone to take care of you.
Oh, I do, Miss Lily. I do, really. If only you... Oh, but no, you couldn't ever think...
What, Mr. Cust?
Well, I mean, Miss Lily, I was just thinking it would be really too much to ask anyone. Mrs. Alexander Bonaparte Cust. No.
But when we're married, please don't wear that toupee. It's very conspicuous.
Oh, you are a nice girl, Miss Lily. Really, you are. I do hope people won't call you Mrs. ABC.
And so closes the ABC Murders, starring Charles Lawton with Elsa Lanchester and Bramwell Fletcher. Tonight's tale of Suspense. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us again next Tuesday, when Agnes Moorehead will return to our stage as star of the suspense play called She Overheard Murder Speaking. Producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, who with Ted Bliss, the director, Lud Gluskin and Lucian Mahowick, conductor and composer, and Robert Tallman, the radio author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. Our star tonight is one of the most compelling actresses in America today, Miss Agnes Moorehead. Miss Moorehead returns to our stage to appear in a new study in terror by Lucille Fletcher called Sorry, Wrong Number. This story of a woman who accidentally overheard a conversation with death and who strove frantically to prevent murder from claiming an innocent victim is tonight's tale of suspense. If you have been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so it is with Sorry, Wrong Number and the performance of Agnes Moorehead. We again hope to keep you in suspense.
Operator, I've been dialing Murray Hill 70093 now for the last 3/4 of an hour, and the line is always busy. I don't see how it could be busy that long. Will you try it for me, please?
I will be glad to try that number for you. One moment, please.
I don't see how it could be busy all this time. It's my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I'm all alone here in the house. My health is very poor, and I've been feeling so nervous all day.
Ringing Murray Hill 70093.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Is Mr. Stevenson there?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hello, George.
Yes, sir. This is George speaking.
Hello? Who's this? What number am I calling, please?
I'm here with our client now. He says the coast is clear for tonight.
Yes, sir.
Where are you now?
In a phone booth. Don't worry. Everything's okay.
Very well. Now, you know the address? At 11 o'clock, the private patrolman goes around to the bar on 2nd Avenue for a beer. Be sure that all the lights downstairs are on, eh? There should be only one light visible from the street. At 11:15, a train crosses the bridge. It makes a noise in case her window is open and she should scream.
Oh, hello. What number is this, please?
Okay. I understand.
Now make it quick. As little blood as possible, eh? Our client does not wish to make her suffer long.
Will a knife be okay, sir?
Well, the knife will be okay. And do you remember the other details?
Yeah, I know. Remove the rings and bracelets and the jewelry in the bureau drawer.
That's right. Our client wishes it to look like simple robbery.
Now, don't worry. Everything is going to be okay.
All right, then. Be sure that...
Oh, how awful. How unspeakably awful. Oh.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've just been cut off.
I'm sorry. What number were you calling?
Why, it was supposed to be Murray Hill 70093, but it wasn't. Some wires must have got crossed. I was cut into a wrong number, and I've just heard the most dreadful thing. Something about a murder. And, operator, you'll simply have to retrace that call at once.
I beg your pardon. May I help you?
Oh, I know it was a wrong number, and I had no business listening, but these two men, they were cold-blooded fiends, and they were going to murder somebody, some poor innocent woman who was all alone in a house near a bridge, and we've got to stop them. We've got to.
What number were you calling, please?
Well, that doesn't matter. This was a wrong number, and you dialed it for me, and we've got to find out what it was immediately.
What number did you call?
Oh, why are you so stupid? What time is it? Do you mean to tell me you can't find out what that number was just now?
I'll connect you with the chief operator.
Oh, I think it's perfectly shameful. Now, look, it was obviously a case of some little slip of the finger. I told you to try Murray Hill 70093 for me. You dialed it, but your finger must have slipped, and I was connected with some other number. And I could hear them, but they couldn't hear me. Now, I simply fail to see why you couldn't make that same mistake again, on purpose, why you couldn't try to dial Murray Hill 70093 in the same sort of careless way.
Murray Hill 70093. I will try to get it for you.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm sorry, Murray Hill 70093 is busy. I will call you with 20...
Operator. Operator, will you answer me?
Your call, please.
Well, you didn't try to get that wrong number at all. I asked you explicitly, and all you did was dial correctly.
I'm sorry. What number are you calling?
Oh, can't you for once forget what number I'm calling and do something for me? Now, I want to trace that call. It's my civic duty, it's your civic duty to trace that call and apprehend those dangerous killers. And if you won't...
I will connect you with the chief operator.
Please. Answer.
This is the chief operator.
Oh, chief operator, I want you to trace a call, a telephone call immediately. I don't know where it came from or who was making it, but it's absolutely necessary that it be tracked down because it was about a murder that someone's planning. A terrible, cold-blooded murder of a poor, innocent woman tonight at 11:15.
I see.
Well, can you trace it for me? Can you track down those men?
I'm not certain. It depends.
Depends on what?
It depends on whether the call is still going on. If it's a live call, we can trace it on the equipment. If it's been disconnected, we can't.
Disconnected?
If the parties have stopped talking to each other.
Oh, but of course they must have stopped talking to each other by now. That was at least 5 minutes ago, and they didn't sound like the type who would make a long call.
Well, I can try tracing it. May I have your name, please?
Mrs. Stevenson. Mrs. Albert Stevenson. Now, but listen...
And your telephone number, please?
Plaza 42295. But if you go on wasting all this time...
Why do you want the call traced, please?
Why? Well... Oh, no reason. No reason. I mean, I merely felt very strongly that something ought to be done about it. These men sounded like killers. They're dangerous. They're going to murder this woman at 11:15 tonight, and I thought the police ought to know.
Have you reported this to the police?
Well, no, not yet.
You want this call checked purely as a private individual?
Yes, but meanwhile...
I'm sorry, Mrs. Stevenson, but I'm afraid we couldn't make this check for you and trace the call just in your say-so as a private individual.
Well,
we'd have to do something more official.
Oh, for heaven's sake. You mean to tell me I can't report that there's going to be a murder without getting tied up in all this red tape? Why, it's perfectly idiotic. Well, all right. I'll call the police.
Thank you. I'm sure that would be the best way to...
Ridiculous. It's perfectly ridiculous. All this red tape. Oh.
Your call, please.
The police department. Get me the police department, please.
Thank you. Bringing the police department.
Okay.
Police station, precinct 43, Sergeant Martin speaking.
Police department, this is Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Albert Smythe Stevenson of 53 North Sutton Place. I'm calling up to report a murder. I mean, the murder hasn't been committed yet, but I just overheard plans for it over the telephone, over a wrong number that the operator gave me. I've been trying to trace down the call myself, but everybody is so stupid, and I guess in the end you're the only people who could do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it was a perfectly definite murder. I heard their plans distinctly. Two men were talking, and they were going to murder some woman at 11:15 tonight. She lived in a house near a bridge. Are you listening to me?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a private patrolman on the street. He was going to go around for a beer on 2nd Avenue, and there was some third man, a client, who was paying to have this poor woman murdered. They were going to take her rings and bracelets and use a knife. Well, it's unnerved me dreadfully, and I'm not well.
I see. When was all this, ma'am?
About 8 minutes ago. Then you can do something. You do understand.
What is your name, ma'am?
Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Albert Stevenson.
And your address?
53 North Sutton Place. 53 North Sutton Place. That's near a bridge. The Queensboro Bridge, you know. And we have a private patrolman on our street. And 2nd Avenue.
And what was the number you were calling?
Murray Hill 70093. But that wasn't the number I overheard. I mean, Murray Hill 70093 is my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I was trying to reach him to ask him to come home. I'm an invalid, you know, and it's the maid's night off, and I hate to be alone, even though he says I'm perfectly safe as long as I have the telephone right beside my bed.
Well, we'll look into it, Mrs. Stevenson. And we'll see if we can check it with the telephone company.
But the telephone company said they couldn't check the call if the parties had stopped talking. I've already taken care of that.
Oh, you have?
Yes, and personally, I feel you ought to do something far more immediate and drastic than just check the call. What good does checking the call do if they stop talking? By the time you track it down, they'll already have committed the murder.
Well, we'll take care of it, don't you worry.
Well, I'd say the whole thing called for a search, a complete and thorough search of the whole city. Now, I'm very near the bridge, and I'm not far from 2nd Avenue, and I know I'd feel a lot better if you sent around a radio car to this neighborhood at once.
And what makes you think the murder's going to be committed in your neighborhood, ma'am?
Well, I don't know. Only the coincidence is so horrible. 2nd Avenue and patrolman and the bridge.
2nd Avenue is a very long street, ma'am.
I know.
And you know how many bridges there are in the city of New York alone. Not to mention Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx.
I know.
How do you know there isn't some little house out on Staten Island on some little 2nd Avenue you've never even heard about? How do you know they're even talking about New York at all?
But I heard the call in the New York dialing system.
Maybe it was a long-distance call you overheard. Telephones are funny things. Look, lady, why don't you look at it this way? Supposing you hadn't broken in on that telephone call. Supposing you'd got your husband the way you always do. You wouldn't be upset, would you?
No, I suppose not. Only it sounded so inhuman, so cold-blooded.
Well, a lot of murders are plotted in this city every day, ma'am.
Well,
we manage to prevent most all of them, but a clue of this kind is so vague. Isn't much more use to us than no clue at all.
But surely you...
Unless, of course, you have some reason for thinking this call was phony, and that somebody may be planning to murder you.
Me? Oh, well, no, I hardly think so. Well, I mean, why should anybody? I'm alone all day and night. I see nobody except my maid, Eloise, and she's a big girl. She weighs 200 pounds. She's too lazy to bring up my breakfast tray, and the only other person is my husband, Albert. He's crazy about me. He just adores me. Waits on me hand and foot. Has scarcely left my side since I took sick 12 years ago.
Well, and there's nothing for you to worry about.
But
now, if you'll just leave the rest of this to us, we'll take care of it.
What will you do? It's so late. It's nearly 11 now.
We'll take care of it, lady.
Will you broadcast it all over the city and send out squads and warn your radio cars to watch out, especially in suspicious neighborhoods like mine?
Lady, I said we'd take care of it. Just now, I've got a couple of other matters here on my desk that require immediate attention. Good night, ma'am, and thank you.
Oh, you idiot. Oh, now, why did I hang up the phone like that? Now he'll think I am a fool. Oh, why doesn't Albert come home? Why doesn't he?
Your call, please.
Operator, for heaven's sake, will you ring that Murray Hill 70093 number again? I can't think what's keeping him so long.
I will try it for you.
Well, try. Oh. So nervous. Why did it take so long?
I'm sorry. Murray Hill 70093 is busy. I will call you.
I can hear it. You don't have to tell me. I know it's busy. If I could only get out of this bed for a little while. If I could get a breath of fresh air, or just lean out of the window, or see the street. Hello, Albert? Hello? Oh, what's the matter with this phone? Hello. heaven's sake, who is this? Hello? 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 Oh, Christ. Oh. Oh, Whitey.
Your call, please.
Hello, operator. I don't know what's the matter with this telephone tonight, but it's positively driving me crazy. I've never seen such inefficient, miserable service. Now, look. I'm an invalid, and I'm very nervous, and I'm not supposed to be annoyed. But if this keeps on much longer...
What seems to be the trouble, please?
Well, everything's wrong. I haven't had one bit of satisfaction out of one call I've made this evening. The whole world could be murdered for all you people care. And now my phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing every 5 seconds or so. And when I pick it up, there's no one there.
I'm sorry. If you will hang up, I will test it for you.
I don't want you to test it for me. I want you to put that call through, whatever it is, at once.
I'm afraid I cannot do that.
You can't? And why? Why, may I ask?
The dial system is automatic.
Oh.
If someone is trying to dial your number, there is no way to check whether the call is coming through the system or not.
Oh,
unless the person who is trying to reach you complains to his particular operator.
Well, of all this stupidness. And meanwhile, I've got to sit here in my bed suffering every time that phone rings, imagining everything.
I will try to check the trouble for you.
Check it. That's all anybody can do. Oh, what's the use of talking to you? You're stupid. I'll fix her. With all late impudence. Oh, how dare she speak to me like that? How dare she speak to me like that? Oh.
Your call, please.
Young woman, I don't know your name. But there are ways of finding you out. And I'm going to report you to your superiors for the most unpardonable rudeness and insolence it has ever been my privilege. Give me the business office at once.
You may dial that number direct.
Dial it direct? I'll do no such thing. I don't even know the number.
The number is in the directory, or you may secure it by dialing information.
Now listen here, you... Oh, what's the use? Oh, dear. Oh, for heaven's sake, I'm going out of my mind. Hello. Stop ringing me. Do you hear? Answer me. Who is this? Do you realize you're driving me crazy? Who's calling me? What are you doing it for? Now stop it, I say. Hello. If you don't stop ringing me, I'm going to call the police. You hear? The police. Oh, if Albert would only come home. Oh, let it ring. Let it go on ringing. It's a trick of some kind. And I won't answer it. I won't, even if it goes on ringing all night. Now, what's the matter? Why do they stop ringing all of a sudden? What time is it? Oh, where did I put that clock? 5 to 11. Oh, they've decided something. They're sure I'm home. They heard my voice answer them just now. That's why they've been ringing me. Why no one has answered me? Call that operator again. Oh, where is she? Why doesn't she answer? Oh, operator. Why doesn't she answer?
Your call, please.
Where were you just now? Why didn't you answer at once? Give me the police department.
I'm sorry. Just a minute.
Oh.
I'm sorry. The line is busy. I will call you.
Busy? But that's impossible. The police department can't be busy. There must be other lines available.
The line is busy.
Oh.
I will try to get them for you later.
No, I've got to speak to them now, or it may be too late. I've got to talk to someone.
What number do you wish to speak to?
I don't know, but there must be someone to protect people beside the police department. A detective agency.
You will find agencies listed in the classified directory.
But I don't have a classified directory. I mean, I'm too nervous to look it up, and I don't know.
patient. Perhaps she will be able to help you.
No. Oh, you're being spiteful, aren't you? You don't care, do you, what happens to me? I could die and you would stay. Oh, stop it! Stop it! I can't stand it anymore. Hello? What do you want? Stop ringing, will you? Stop it.
Hello? Is this Plaza 42295?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Plaza 42295.
This is Western Union. I have a telegram here for Mrs. Elbert Stevenson. Is there anyone there to receive the message?
Yes, I'm Mrs. Stevenson.
The telegram is as follows. Mrs. Elbert Stevenson, 53 North 2nd Place, New York, New York. Darling, terribly sorry. Tried to get you for last hour, but line busy. Leaving for Boston, 11 p.m. tonight on urgent business. Back tomorrow afternoon. Keep happy. Love, signed, Elbert.
Oh, no.
Do you wish us to deliver a copy of the message?
No. No, thank you.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Good night. Oh, no. No, I don't believe it. He couldn't do it. Not when he knows I'll be all alone. It's some trick. It's some trick. Some fiendish trick. I know. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, what is the answer?
Your call, please.
Operator, try that Murray Hill 70093 number for me just once more, please.
You may dial that number direct.
Oh. Oh, he's gone. Oh, Albert, how could you? How could you? I can't be alone tonight. I can't. If I'm alone one more second, I'll go mad. I don't care what he says or what the expense is. I'm a sick woman. I'm entitled.
This is information. May I help you?
I want the telephone number of Henchley Hospital.
Henchley Hospital?
Yes.
Do you have the street address?
No, it's somewhere in the 70s. It's a very small, private and exclusive hospital where I had my appendix out 2 years ago. Henchley, H-E-N-C-A.
Wait a moment.
Will you please hurry and please, what is the time?
You may find out the time by dialing Meridian 71212.
Oh, for heaven's sake, I've no time to be dialing.
The number of Henchley Hospital is Butterfield 70105.
Butterfield 70105.
Henchley Hospital. Good evening.
The nurse's registry.
Who was it you wish to speak to, please?
I want the nurse's registry at once. I want a trained nurse. I want to hire immediately for the night.
I see. And what is the nature of the case, madam?
Nerves. I'm very nervous. I need soothing and companionship. You see, my husband is away, and I'm...
Have you been recommended to us by any doctor in particular, madam?
No, but I really don't see why all this catechizing is necessary. I just want a trained nurse. I was a patient in your hospital 2 years ago, and after all, I do expect to pay this person for attending me.
We quite understand that, madam, but these are war times, you know.
I know that.
Registered nurses are very scarce just now, and our superintendent has asked us to send people out only on cases where the physician in charge feels it's absolutely necessary.
Well, it is absolutely necessary. I'm a sick woman. I'm very much upset, very. I'm alone in this house, and I'm an invalid, and tonight I overheard a telephone conversation that upset me dreadfully. In fact, if someone doesn't come at once, I'm afraid I'll go out of my mind.
I see. Well, I'll speak to Miss Phillips as soon as she comes in. And what is your name, ma'am?
Miss Phillips? And when do you expect her in?
I really couldn't say. She went out to supper at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock? But it's not 11 o'clock yet. Oh, my clock has stopped. I thought it was running down. What time is it?
Just 15 minutes past 11.
What was that?
What was what, madam?
That click just now in my own telephone. As though someone had lifted the receiver off the hook of the extension telephone downstairs.
Well, I didn't hear it, madam. Now, about this...
But I did. There's someone in this house. Someone downstairs in the kitchen. And they're listening to me now. They're listening! I won't pick it up. I won't let them hear me. I won't let them hear me. I'll be quiet. I'll be so quiet. And they'll think... Oh, but if I don't call someone now, while they're still down there, wait, there'll be no time. I've got to help.
Your call, please.
Operator, I'm in desperate trouble.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Please speak louder.
I don't dare. There's someone listening. Can you hear me now?
I'm sorry.
Oh, but you've got to hear me. Oh, please, you've got to help me. There's someone in this house. Someone who's going to murder me. And you've got to get in touch with... Oh, there it is. There it is. Did you hear it? He's put it down. He's put down the extension phone. He's coming up. He's coming upstairs. Okay, give me the police department. The police department. Give me the police department.
One moment, please. I will connect you.
I can hear him. Oh, I can hear him. He's coming nearer. Oh, I know it. Hurry, please.
Oh, police department. Oh, I'm sorry. Must have got the wrong number.
Precinct 43, Sergeant Martin speaking. Police Department, Martin speaking. Police Department, Martin speaking.
Oh, police department?
Police Department.
I'm sorry. Must have got the wrong number. Don't worry. Everything's okay.
And so closes Sorry, Wrong Number, starring Agnes Moorehead, tonight's tale of Suspense. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us again next Tuesday, when Mr. Donald Crisp and Mr. John Loder will star in the suspense play called The Extra Guest. The producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, who with Ted Bliss, the director, Lud Gluskin, the musical director, and Lucille Fletcher, the author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.